I was just talking about the team aspect of and everything that goes in to a real estate business, really, more than just being a real estate agent. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, my goodness. It honestly changed my life and nearly saved my life. It's a crazy story, but I had jumped into the real estate business when foreclosures were hitting the market at a high level, and I trained in real estate, went through the classes, jumped into foreclosures, and there was so much involved in that literally at one point my wife one evening said, "You are going to kill yourself." I had 60-something listings that I was trying to juggle, and there's a lot of preservation and other aspects involved, things that were no part of my real estate training. And I began to realize as I got to know more and more realtors that there's each realtor, the way the system is set up right now, is kind of a franchise unto himself. He has to learn so much, not only about real estate itself and keep up with the market and what's out there in terms of inventory, but he also has to know about marketing, has to know how to market himself, has to know how to follow up, has to know how to speak to a title company and the escrow agent and have all the vocabulary down and follow up things well. And then, once he has helped a person know how to follow up with that person and create the mechanisms to stay in touch with that person so that they can grow their business. There's so much involved. That's just the tip of the iceberg, really, of what a realtor needs to know to become really good at it. And I was trying to juggle so many things, and it was literally killing me. And part of the reason is not because I don't necessarily have the mental capacity to handle it.
Obviously.
But obviously. Yeah, there are some things more obvious than others. But I didn't have the personality for it. A lot of people get involved in real estate. They're encouraged to get into real estate by friends and family because they're outgoing and friendly and they love to serve people. But you don't necessarily have, a real technical or administrative side to you when you're good at those things. Those two aspects of a personality don't mix that often. And when you do get it, you get an extraordinarily successful business person in just about any field. But in real estate especially, I know a lot of people who are great with people, work with them, love to interact with them, but the paperwork falls through the cracks, and eventually they end up either in court or hurting some people's feelings or just not being able to build the business to where they could. So in my case, I met Mike Davis, the broker at Kingston Realty, and he introduced me to the idea of joining his team, bringing all those properties I had, and taking advantage of the expertise of several people in the office to be able to cover those areas where I just didn't have the ability or the interest. And we ended up being able to build kind of a machine. You suddenly have administrative people doing things, marketing people doing other things, people that can take the transaction from the time that the sale is done and follow it, track it, make sure that the inspections and the appraisals and all the aspects of closing are handled accurately. And I can do what I really enjoy doing best, which is get out, look at the properties, work with people, interact with them, negotiate the deals, and really do the fun part.
Yeah, when you bring up a good point with the interest, because there's probably no real estate agent, mortgage broker, financial planner who is interested in every possible aspect of the industry. A lot of people, maybe if you're kind of on the front end, the transaction coordination, the details of going through, your appraisal and the lending and the title and getting an escrow. I mean, it is extremely tedious. And to try to be good at what you are good at, and then go back and handle these, what can seem almost like minutia when you're in the sales field, can be really difficult. And if you don't have a team, as you said, a lot of those things can go through the cracks.
Yeah, we have a transaction coordinator named Kevin in our office. He is remarkable at being able to track the processes of several, literally dozens of transactions at a time. And you can tell when you talk to him, he actually finds life in that. If he were told to go out and meet with people and walk around houses with them, he would, give me something sharp to put in my eye is probably his reaction after a couple of weeks. But he's a terrific fellow, and he's fantastic with what he does. So that's the idea, is just like on any team. If start a football team and you say, okay, we're all quarterbacks and we're all going to learn everything about what a quarterback does, it's just silly. And that's kind of a lot of what the real estate industry is. Now, there are some terrific brokerages out there who are doing a good job at working on building team. But I think the difference for us is Mike and his Studley son-in-law, Kalen, who you've met,
I wouldn't call him Studley per se, but, to each their own.
Have put this office together. They've kind of put their money where their mouth is in the sense that they've structured the office so that it's not just commission sales with everybody on their own, but in fact we're paid salaries and a mix of commission, and then we're assigned different duties. We get together every morning via webcam and discuss what we're doing, and then every Friday we get together physically and have a couple-hour meeting. So it's very interactive. Everybody knows what everybody's doing, and we can pass on assignments from one to the other as it's appropriate. Kalen focuses on land acquisition and builders and those kinds of things. Well, right now we have a shortage of inventory, so I've got buyers looking for properties, and we're having trouble finding them. Well, his having access to either newly built or newly renovated properties, we suddenly have a new source for inventory. So having that kind of interaction with us each having our specialties, it not only helps me, as I've described, but our clients as well.
So talk a little bit about, a lot of people who aren't in the real estate industry might think, well, geez, I'm going to go work with Windermere. And they have an entire office working together. The reality is that entire office doesn't really work together. They may work in the same office. Maybe talk about the difference between some of these big offices and the way that you guys work.
Well, Windermere obviously is a terrific company, but each office has its own personality, really, based on the leader in that office. And some will work hard at trying to create a team atmosphere by having events, by doing team trainings, by having luncheons and doing different things. But still, at the end of the day, just the way that the industry is structured, that real estate agent takes that information but still has to decide how much of it he's going to do. And some will be capable of applying the things they learn and others aren't. So you end up with quite a variety of success stories. In our case, for instance, in marketing, we were talking about it before the show, the pace of marketing right now, because of social marketing, the pace of the technology is such that if everybody tried to keep up with that and do that well, everyone, like you say, would become a master of none in a sense. You just can't keep up with all that and do everything that a realtor is supposed to do to serve his clients well. So we have someone who's a marketing specialist, who spends their time working on those issues, learning those issues, and then applies that to everybody as a team. So,
and every few days, the new Twitter comes up. Now it's Facebook, then it's apps. I mean, whatever it may be, whatever the next, technology or next marketing platform is, you kind of have to be in that space.
That's right. And, you mentioned some of the other agencies around the country. There was a woman came and she was representing a large real estate brokerage, national one, and they were buying small, independent, successful companies in order to have them join their network because of some opportunities they had coming. They came and talked to Mike Davis, our broker. Mike described how we'd put our office together, and their first reaction was, boy, that's really not going to fit into our system. They went away. They came back in a week and said, you know what, you've challenged everything we think about real estate. And this was a woman who had she was the CEO of one of the larger national real estate companies, the name which you recognize. But we've kind of inherited a system that leaves people a little stranded as real estate agents. And it's difficult in that system to create a real teamwork because of the way people are paid. And so it's a whole different ballgame.
When you start looking at the difference between what a customer, what a home buyer or home seller, the experience they may get from a team versus one person. I know I've worked with a lot of people who think, well, Ben, you guys have a team doing mortgages, and we just want to talk to you. We want you to be our contact point. And I'm thinking, and I have to say, well, then we're not the right team for you because that's not the way we operate. It turns some people off. some people understand? Do you kind of come through the same thing? And what benefits do you see to both?
Well, I think, first of all, I introduce myself as their contact, and I make it clear. I give them my cell phone number, my home phone number if they need it, and I'm continually at their beck and call. So that relationship never ends. But there is a place at which we've done the inspection, everything's signed, and all that's left is to track the contracts through escrow and make sure that the thing gets closed. At that point, I introduce them to Kevin. And then he writes an email to them and says, "Hi, I'm Kevin. I'm going to be helping through this process, and you and Dean have access to my office, and let me know." So he just becomes another kind of an adjunct to me as far as the client's concerned. But every time
at some point in time,
far,
you do have to step out of it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you have to make that transfer, that handoff.
Well, honestly, in order to, the kind of service I'm able to give a client, I need time for that.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm going to, as each client I want to give my full attention to, but when it comes to the aspect of it that is kind of mechanical, but it's just a matter of tracking and keeping communication going, if I can turn that over to somebody who's actually better at than I am, I'm not only serving my client better, but the additional clients that come along, I then have time for them to do the thing that I do well.
Oh, I agree. I agree with you 100%. I think you can see it. If you look at any company, take it at fast food, look at McDonald's. It's not the same person taking your order and then running back and cooking the food and, doing the drive-through or any restaurant, really. You have to have people who are good at these individual roles to create good service. I'm a big fan of like Daniel's Broiler. Yeah, you could only imagine if the waiter was getting the water. I mean, they don't have the same person doing anything there, right? They got 9 waiters. But the more specialized people become within their role, the better service it creates because you have this entire team working for you in unison.
That's right. My daughter worked for Canlis Restaurants.
Oh, there you go. Mark and Brian Canlis,
well,
great people.
I tell you what. I know that every day, I probably shouldn't give away their secrets, but almost every day they get together as a team at 11 o'clock in the morning and they go through all the reservations and they talk about every couple coming in and they just, everyone who knows anything about those people, they share that information so that everybody from the hat check girl through the person filling the water glasses and the chef, everybody knows about as many people as possible coming into the restaurant. Makes it very personal. So you end up with everybody sharing in the needs and concerns of the people, but everybody has their own specialty, and it's a beautiful machine. So that's the kind of thing we're trying to create.